All right, so this is how my life gets exciting. So I live as an apocalyptic monk. I run my life as a ministry, and I feel that my job is that when protests are happening, for me to go and be a participant in it, but only in a way that we can find unifying beliefs, right? Because there's some people right now um, that are really, really thinking one thing, and there's a bunch of other people who are really, really, really thinking something else. And so we have a lot of conflict happening in the world today. And so where I live, I've learned that there's an ICE protest happening right now, and so I'm going to go there, but not to carry a sign and yell at people how bad they are, and um, not to be in conflict. I mean, I know that I'm going to be the black sheep in that group because I look like somebody who's um, like riding with the motorcycle club, right? And I wouldn't be opposed to doing that, right? But I'm not really part of clubs. But I'm also the one that I don't believe in the initiation of violence against anyone. I don't think that I should ever be able to make you do something because I said so. Maybe if I said something and it's a good idea, and if you want to do it too, well then you're welcome to do that. But if we're ever leading our society by force, maybe the ideas that are being supported aren't very good ones, right? And I mean, and maybe if our society was based only on good ideas instead of just what somebody somewhere said and then somebody else, believing it, then maybe we would only be having good things supported. Right now, it's really, really crazy what's been happening. We have one group of people thinking that because somebody somewhere said something, that they need to use violence to push their will on everyone else. I was, I faced repercussions from not choosing to get a jab from Pharma, right? Um, because somebody somewhere said so. But it didn't prevent the somebody somewheres that chose to do that from getting sick, right? And I didn't get sick. I live a healthy lifestyle. I eat reasonably. I'm active. I don't harbor stress. And because of these things, my immune system works really, really well. And anyway, I'm not trying to go into any one direction or another. But now we have the other side of the wing that's flapping. And there are criminals that need to be held accountable for what they do, but there's a big difference in how we understand how to do that, right? Because it's been like a teeter-totter. It's been one way or the other for too long, when there kind of needs to be a blend of ideas that happen in the middle. People say that it's sitting on the fence, but the sitting on the fence is how you're going to stay away from the dogs, right? I mean, but you're not sitting on the fence of, I have to be so pushing in one direction that we step away from what's logical, right? Because it is logical to not be trying to get eaten by one of the dogs that's at the far end of being off the fence, right? I mean, I really feel that we can solve many of these problems that we're facing in society by simply implementing one rule into our life experience, and that's like do no harm, right? Do no harm. And if we take no shit when somebody else does harm, then we're holding that person accountable for their actions. And when we hold people actually accountable for their actions in a way, not punitive, but in rehabilitation, that their actions will align with what they want to be held accountable for, right? I mean, for too long, kids have tried to do really good things, and the parents, they haven't supported it. So then the kids do really bad things, and the parents have to be involved. What if all we're missing is the involvement, right? What if we're really, truly missing the opportunities that are presented to us? And why are we missing these opportunities, right? Are we too busy just trying to exist? Are we paying so much money in taxes and in permissions and in all sorts of things that just don't make sense, right? But it makes a politician or a corporation a bunch of dollars and cents. Right? We've got a bunch of rules that are being made up that are enforcing a minimum standard of construction and not enlightening people to the options that exist beyond what's being advertised to us. I mean, we've got the ability to really, really live awesome, beautiful lives, right? I mean, with architecture that has been used for a long time already in little spots around this place. I mean, we have to realize what's being done to solve problems somewhere, and then when we do that on a bigger scale, it happens like everywhere, right? Because that's the way nature works naturally, is it just happens locally, right? And when we locally bring the best ideas of the world into one space, we end up having a much more utopian experience. Like where I live right now, there's a large drug problem. I mean, this is like one of the worst places in the United States to live, according to criminal statistics and violence and just drugs and human trafficking, and it's really the front lines for a spiritual battle, right? The good versus evil, the light versus the dark, right? And what happens when people are distracted from the options that are available to them is that they suffer. And they suffer in their right now moments, and eventually those right now moments become so unbearable that they're either going to choose to self-exit, or they're going to choose whatever way they know how to escape from it. And so they're using street drugs, or they're using alcohol, or they're using entertainment, or they're using food consumption, or they've got their face in a phone, or they've got the radio playing, or whatever distraction people are having to have from their right now moment is is evidence that this right now moment isn't happening in the way that you want it to be, right? I mean, that's what that's doing. We're looking for something better than what's happening right now. And when rent is so expensive and food, healthy food from the grocery store is so expensive that all you can afford to buy is the junk. And then, you know what a junk body does to a mind is it turns it into a junk mind. You know, and when a junk mind is being advertised a certain way of being, it might make poor decisions. And when it makes poor decisions in mass, it supports a lot of actions, experiences in our life that we don't really want to be experiencing, but yet we just keep experiencing, right? And so it's when many people are supporting a similar idea, it becomes an idea that is brought into this reality, right? And when this is brought into the reality, but in a false version of reality, that can be dangerous, right? That can be really, really a dystopian way of experiencing life. I mean, because like if you pay attention to the news and you pay attention to what's happening in this world, there's a lot of division, right? I mean, there's people that are beating each other up. There's people that are shooting each other. There's people doing just horrible things. You know, I mean, they're stealing from them. They're threatening to steal their homes if they don't pay taxes. They're threatening you with death if you don't pay taxes. Basically, I mean, because if you just decide to refuse commands, eventually they just kill you. So, but when we have a world where there's sustainable shelter and food is growing in abundance and transportation makes sense, right? I mean, there's just so much in this world that is so expensive that it's just not making any sense.